The old ship floated through space like a tired warrior. Its hull showed marks from countless repairs, and its paint had faded from years under different suns. This was the U.S. Tenacity, once proud but now called names like the museum piece by other ships in the fleet. Most people thought it should have been scrapped years ago, but Captain James Walker knew better. Walker stood on the bridge, his hands clasped behind his back as he looked out at the stars. He wasn't very tall, but he stood straight and proud, his gray hair neat despite the long hours of his shift. 20 years of service had left lines on his face, but his eyes remained sharp and alert. "Captain, we're getting those strange readings from the engine room again," said Tom Wells, the young officer at the main control panel. He tried to hide his worry, but Walker heard it in his voice. Walker smiled slightly. "Let me guess, Marcus is testing something new." As if answering his question, the ship's lights flickered. From somewhere below, they heard a loud bang, followed by the sound of someone cursing. A few minutes later, Marcus Reed rushed onto the bridge. His engineer's uniform was covered in black marks, and his white hair stuck up in all directions as if he'd been electrocuted. "Captain, you won't believe what I just discovered." Marcus's eyes shone with excitement. He looked like a kid showing off a new toy, even though he was older than Walker. "The new engine modifications are working better than expected. We can now push the power output 30% higher than any other ship in the fleet." Walker raised an eyebrow. "Is that what that bang was about?" "Oh, that. Just a small hiccup. Nothing to worry about." Marcus waved his hand dismissively. "But think about it, Captain, 30%. The brass said it couldn't be done. But I showed them." Walker knew he should be more concerned about unauthorized modifications to his ship, but he trusted Marcus. The old engineer might be strange, but he was brilliant. His improvements had saved their lives more than once, even if they sometimes made the ship behave in unexpected ways. "Sir," Wells interrupted, "we're receiving a message from command. Admiral Parker wants to speak with you." He paused. "It's marked urgent." Walker straightened his uniform and nodded. "Put him through." The screen lit up to show Admiral Parker's stern face. He looked annoyed, which wasn't unusual when dealing with the Tenacity. "Walker, what the hell is your engineer doing now?" "We're picking up energy spikes from your section that are off the charts." "Just routine maintenance, Admiral," Walker said calmly, "making sure everything's running smoothly." "Smoothly?" Parker snorted. "That rust bucket of yours should have been retired years ago. I've got 3 new Stellar-class destroyers that could replace it tomorrow." Marcus muttered something under his breath that Walker pretended not to hear. "With all due respect, Admiral," Walker said, "the Tenacity may be old, but she's reliable. We've completed every mission assigned to us." "Barely," Parker said. "Listen, Walker, I'm reassigning your patrol route. Keep the Tenacity away from the main shipping lanes. The last thing we need is civilian ships seeing that ancient heap and thinking the Earth Defense Force can't afford proper ships." Walker felt his jaw tighten, but kept his voice steady. "Yes, sir. Where would you like us to patrol?" "Sector 7. The bridge crew tried not to react, but Walker heard someone sigh. Sector 7 was empty space. Nothing but rocks and dust. It was where command sent ships they wanted to forget about. "Understood, sir. We'll head there immediately." After the Admiral's face disappeared from the screen, Walker stayed quiet for a moment. Then he turned to Marcus. "How long would it really take to get the engine modifications working properly?" Marcus grinned. "Give me 2 days. I'll show you what this rust bucket can really do." The next 2 days passed in a blur of activity. While the Tenacity made its way to Sector 7, Marcus worked non-stop in the engine room. Strange noises echoed through the ship at odd hours, and the power fluctuated so often that the crew stopped noticing. Walker spent most of his time on the bridge, watching his crew work. They were a good team, even if they weren't the fleet's finest. Wells was fresh from the academy, but learned quickly. The navigator, Lisa Brown, could plot courses in her head faster than the computer. And then there was Marcus, who treated the ship's engines like his personal project. Other ships they passed on their way to Sector 7 didn't bother to send the usual greetings. One captain even made a joke over the open channel about museums belonging in orbit, not deep space. Walker's crew pretended not to hear, but he saw their shoulders stiffen. "Let them talk," he told his crew during their daily meeting. "They don't know what this ship can do." "But, sir," Wells said, "maybe the Admiral has a point. The new ships are faster, better armed." "New isn't always better," Marcus interrupted. He pulled up a diagram on the main screen. "Look at this. Most modern ships are built to a standard design. They're predictable. But the Tenacity? She's unique. My modifications give us capabilities no other ship has." "Like randomly losing power?" Brown asked, but she was smiling. "That only happened twice today," Marcus said proudly. "Much better than yesterday." Walker listened to them argue, feeling strangely content. This wasn't the prestigious command he dreamed of as a young officer, but there was something special about the Tenacity and its crew. They might be misfits, but they were his misfits. As they approached their assigned patrol area, Marcus called Walker to the engine room. The usually cluttered space had been transformed. New cables ran along the walls, connecting to boxes filled with blinking lights. In the center, the main engine hummed with a different note than before. "It's ready," Marcus said quietly. His usual excitement had been replaced by something like reverence. "I've done things with these engines that the designers never imagined. We're not just more powerful now. We're different. Better." Walker looked at the modifications. He didn't understand half of what he was seeing, but he trusted Marcus's work. "Will it hold together?" "Probably." Marcus shrugged. "But that's not the point. The point is, we've got something no other ship has. The fleet thinks we're obsolete. Fine. Let them think that. But if we ever need it, this ship can do things that would make those new Stellar-class destroyers look like toys." Walker nodded slowly. "Let's hope we never need to prove that." Back on the bridge, Wells reported they had reached Sector 7. Around them, empty space stretched in every direction. This was where ships came to be forgotten. But as the Tenacity settled into its patrol route, Walker felt oddly optimistic. Let the fleet mock them. Let command hide them away. They might be underestimated, but Walker knew that sometimes the most dangerous thing in space was what you didn't take seriously. As if agreeing with his thoughts, the ship's engines hummed smoothly, all traces of their earlier problems gone. The Tenacity moved through space with new confidence, like an old warrior who had discovered hidden strength. They had no way of knowing that very soon they would need every bit of that strength. That this quiet patrol route would become the scene of humanity's greatest space battle. That the ship everyone mocked would soon make history. But for now, they simply did their duty, the crew of the unwanted ship in the empty sector, waiting for their moment to prove what they could really do. 3 weeks of patrolling empty space had dulled even Marcus's enthusiasm. The Tenacity moved through the darkness of Sector 7, its sensors scanning nothing but dust and distant stars. The crew had fallen into a quiet routine, broken only by Marcus's occasional tinkering with the engines. The silence ended on a Tuesday. "Captain," Wells's voice cut through the quiet bridge. "Multiple objects just appeared at the edge of our scanning range. They're big, sir. Really big." Walker was out of his chair before Wells finished speaking. "Show me." The main screen lit up with dozens of points of light, each one larger than any ship Walker had ever seen. They moved in perfect formation, their hulls catching and reflecting starlight in strange ways. "Are they crystal?" Brown asked, squinting at her navigation display. "The sensor readings are unlike anything I've seen before." Before Walker could respond, every screen on the bridge flashed with the same message: "Surrender or be destroyed." The message repeated in different languages, filling their displays with scrolling text. Finally, a new window opened, showing what had to be the alien commander. The being looked almost human, except for its skin, which seemed to shimmer like the surface of its ships. "Primitive vessel," the alien spoke in perfect English. "You have the honor of being the first to witness the might of the Dominion. Your species will submit to our rule, or it will cease to exist." Walker kept his voice steady. "This is Captain James Walker of the Earth Defense Force vessel Tenacity. You've entered Earth-controlled space without permission. We request that you withdraw immediately." The alien commander laughed, the sound like crystal chimes. "You dare to make demands? Your vessel is barely worthy of notice. It appears your species hasn't even mastered basic space travel." In the background, Marcus muttered, "Basic space travel. I'll show you basic." "We don't want to fight," Walker said, ignoring Marcus. "But we will defend our territory if necessary." "Defend?" The alien's face showed something like pity. "Look upon our fleet, primitive one. Each of our ships could destroy your entire world. But we are merciful. Submit now, and your people may serve us rather than perish." Walker studied the tactical display. The alien was right about one thing. Their fleet was overwhelming. Each ship gleamed like a perfect crystal, geometric shapes that shouldn't have been possible in space. The smallest was twice the size of Earth's largest battleship. "Sir," Wells whispered, "I'm reading energy buildups in their fleet. They're powering weapons." Walker nodded slowly. "Send an emergency signal to command. Full encryption." He turned back to the alien commander. "We'll need time to contact our leaders and relay your request." "You have one of your Earth hours," the commander said. The communication cut off abruptly. The bridge erupted into activity. Brown worked frantically at her console, calculating possible escape routes. Wells kept his eyes glued to the tactical display, watching the alien fleet's every move. And Marcus was staring at his engineering readings with an odd expression. "Captain," he said quietly, "I'm picking up something strange from their ships. The crystal structure. It's not just for show. It's part of their technology. And it's resonating with our engine modifications." Walker moved to Marcus's station. "What do you mean?" "Remember those power fluctuations we were having? They're happening again, but different. Every time our modified engine pulses, their ships shimmer, like they're responding to the frequency. Can we use that?" Marcus ran his hands through his wild hair. "Maybe. Give me that hour to figure it out." "But sir," he looked up, his eyes serious. "If I'm right, we might have a chance. If I'm wrong, we'll probably blow ourselves up." Walker looked at the tactical display again. The Dominion fleet hung in space like a beautiful, deadly artwork. Their own ship was tiny in comparison, a speck of dust against a wall of crystal. "Do what you can," Walker told Marcus. "The rest of you, prepare for anything. If we can't stop them here, we need to at least warn Earth." The next 50 minutes passed in tense silence. The crew worked at their stations, each knowing these might be their last moments. Marcus disappeared into the engine room, occasional crashes and curses floating up through the ship's corridors. With 10 minutes remaining, Admiral Parker's face appeared on their screen. "Walker, what the hell is going on out there? Your emergency signal." "Sir," Walker interrupted, "we have a first contact situation. Hostile aliens calling themselves the Dominion. They're demanding Earth's surrender and have the firepower to back it up." He transmitted their sensor data. The Admiral's face went pale as he looked at the readings. "My God. The nearest battle group is 3 days away. Walker, you need to get out of there." "That's an order." "With respect, sir, we might have a way to stop them, or at least slow them down." That rust bucket against their fleet. Parker shook his head. "Don't be a fool, Walker. Run. That's an order." The screen went dark as the alien commander reappeared. "Your time is up, primitive one. What is your answer?" Walker stood straight, his hands clasped behind his back. "We reject your demands. This space belongs to Earth. Leave or face the consequences." The alien commander stared for a moment, then laughed again. You are either very brave or very stupid. Perhaps both. Your death will serve as an example to your species." The communication cut off. On the tactical display, the crystal ships began to move, spreading out to surround the Tenacity. "Marcus," Walker called over the intercom. "Now would be a good time." "Almost ready." Marcus's voice was strained. "But sir, this is going to be rough. The modifications weren't meant to be pushed this hard. We might not survive what I'm about to do." Walker looked at his crew. They were scared, but each one nodded back at him. They had chosen to stay, to face this together. "Better to go down fighting," Brown said, her hand steady on the controls. "All stations, prepare for whatever Marcus is about to do," Walker ordered. "It's been an honor serving with you all." The alien ships drew closer, their weapons charging. The Tenacity hung in space, seemingly helpless. To the Dominion fleet, it must have looked like the primitive vessel had frozen in fear. They couldn't have known that inside that old ship, a brilliant engineer was about to prove that sometimes the most dangerous weapon isn't the biggest or the newest. Sometimes it's the one that everyone underestimated. Marcus's voice came over the intercom one last time. "Hold on to something, everyone. This is going to be interesting." The Tenacity's engines began to hum, building to a pitch that made their teeth vibrate. Around them, the crystal ships of the Dominion fleet grew closer, weapons ready to fire. And in that moment, as humanity's fate hung in the balance, the ship that everyone had mocked was about to show the galaxy exactly what it could do. The modified engines of the Tenacity screamed like a wounded animal. Red warning lights flashed across every console on the bridge as Marcus pushed the ship beyond anything it was designed to handle. The crew held onto their stations as the deck vibrated beneath their feet. "Marcus," Walker called over the intercom, "what exactly are you doing to my ship?" "Something beautiful." Marcus's voice was filled with excitement despite the chaos. "Look at their ships, Captain. Look what's happening." Walker turned to the main screen. At first, he didn't see anything unusual. The Dominion fleet still surrounded them, their crystal ships glowing with charged weapons. Then he noticed it, a slight shimmer, like heat waves in a desert, rippling across the nearest alien vessel. "Their crystal structure is responding to our engine frequency," Marcus explained. "Every ship in their fleet is built from the same material. They're all connected, all resonating together. It's like they're singing, Captain, and we just need to find the right note to make them shatter." As if to prove his point, a thin crack appeared in the hull of the nearest Dominion ship. The alien vessel quickly moved back, but the damage was done. The alien commander's face appeared on their screen again, but this time there was no mockery in his expression. "What are you doing? This is impossible. Your technology is primitive." "Primitive?" Marcus laughed from the engine room. "Let me show you what this primitive ship can do." He adjusted something, and the Tenacity's engine note changed. The vibrations grew stronger. More cracks appeared in the nearest alien ships, spreading like spider webs across their crystal surfaces. "Sir," Wells reported, "they're pulling back. All except their command ship. It's moving toward us." The massive crystal vessel approached, its weapons powering up. The alien commander's voice boomed through their speakers. "Enough. You will die for this insult." But Walker had seen something important. The command ship's crystal structure was different, denser, more complex. It wasn't showing the same signs of stress as the other ships. "Marcus," he called, "the command ship isn't affected. Can you adjust the frequency?" "I'm trying." Marcus sounded frustrated now. "But the engines weren't meant for this. We're pushing them too hard. Something's going to break." As if to emphasize his point, a loud crack echoed through the ship. The lights flickered, and for a moment, the engine note faltered. The alien ships immediately began to stabilize, their cracks topping their spread. "No, no, no," Marcus shouted. He was typing frantically at his console. "Just need a little more power. A little more." "Sir." Brown's voice was urgent. "The command ship is charging its main weapon. Impact in 30 seconds. Walker made a quick decision. "Marcus, forget the command ship. Focus on the rest of their fleet. Brown, plot us a course through their formation. Get us close to as many ships as possible." "But sir," Wells protested, "their command ship will destroy us." "Not if we destroy their fleet first," Walker said calmly. "Marcus, give us everything you've got. Brown, on my mark, take us in." The Tenacity's engines changed pitch again, rising to a sound that made their teeth hurt. Warning signals blared as systems throughout the ship began to overload. But in space around them, the effect was immediate. The crystal ships closest to them began to crack more severely, pieces of their hulls breaking off into space. 20 seconds to weapon impact. Wells called out, "Now, Brown, take us in." The Tenacity moved like it never had before. Marcus's modifications gave them speed and maneuverability that seemed impossible for such an old ship. They dove into the alien formation, weaving between the massive crystal vessels. Everywhere they passed, ships began to break apart. The resonance from their engines had reached a critical point. Entire sections of crystal hull were splitting away. Some ships tried to retreat, but they were too late. The damage spread from ship to ship through their connected crystal structures. 10 seconds. The command ship's weapon was fully charged now, its crystal focusing arrays glowing with deadly energy. But its target wasn't there anymore. The Tenacity spun and rolled through the disintegrating fleet, leaving destruction in its wake. 5 seconds. "Brace for impact," Walker ordered. "Marcus, give us one last push." The engineer didn't respond with words. Instead, he poured everything their struggling engines had into one final burst. The sound they made wasn't even human anymore. It was like the ship itself was screaming out a battle cry. The effect rippled through space like a wave. Every crystal ship in range began to break apart simultaneously. Their beautiful geometric shapes collapsed into clouds of glittering shards. Explosions bloomed as their power cores went critical. The command ship fired its weapon, but in that same moment, its support fleet disintegrated. The energy beam went wide as fragments of crystal ships slammed into it from all sides. The massive vessel tried to turn, tried to escape, but it was caught in a storm of its own fleet's remains. On the Tenacity's bridge, screens were exploding from power surges. Smoke poured from overloaded systems. The deck plates grew hot beneath their feet as the engines pushed far beyond their limits. Main power failing. Wells shouted over the noise. "Hull breaches on decks 3 and 4. Emergency containment holding." "Get us clear," Walker ordered. "Brown, any course. Just get us out of this debris field." The Tenacity limped away from the destruction, its engines finally quieting to a pained whine. Behind them, the remnants of the Dominion fleet drifted in space like a field of broken glass. The command ship was largely intact, but severely damaged, its perfect crystal surface now scarred and cracked. The alien commander appeared on their screen one last time. His face showed something new now. "Fear. This is not possible," he said quietly. "You are primitives. Your ship is obsolete." "Maybe," Walker replied, "but we understood something you didn't. The biggest mistake you can make in battle isn't underestimating your enemy's strength. It's underestimating their intelligence." The commander stared at him for a long moment. Then the screen went dark. The command ship turned slowly, gathering the few surviving vessels of its fleet. They vanished into space, leaving behind a graveyard of crystal shards that glittered like stars. In the sudden quiet, Walker looked around his bridge. Every system was damaged, every screen cracked. His crew was battered but alive, and pride showed on their smoke-stained faces. They had done the impossible. "Marcus," he called out, "how are the engines?" There was a long pause before the engineer responded. "Well, Captain, I have good news and bad news. The good news is we won't explode. The bad news is we might need a few repairs." Walker laughed, and the rest of the crew joined in. The laughter was tired and a bit hysterical, but it was real. They were alive, and they had just saved Earth from an alien armada. As emergency power came back online and Brown plotted their slow course home, Walker looked out at the field of crystal debris. The tenacity had been underestimated for the last time. Now everyone would know what this old ship and its crew could do. But first, they needed to survive the repair bill and explain to Admiral Parker exactly how Earth's most outdated ship had just destroyed the most advanced fleet in known space. The journey back to Earth was slow and dangerous. The Tenacity limped through space, its damaged engines struggling to maintain even basic power. Emergency repair crews worked around the clock to keep the ship together, while Marcus spent every waking moment trying to prevent the overtaxed systems from failing completely. "How bad is it really?" Walker asked as he stood in the ruined engine room. The place looked like a war zone, with burnt panels and exposed wiring everywhere. Marcus wiped grease from his face, leaving a darker smudge. "Remember when I said we needed a few repairs? I may have understated things a bit." He pointed to a twisted mass of metal that used to be part of the engine core. "We're running on backup systems now. The main modifications are completely burnt out." Before Walker could respond, Brown's voice came over the intercom. "Captain to the bridge, immediately. We're picking up new contacts." Walker ran to the bridge, his heart sinking. The Tenacity could barely move, let alone fight. If the Dominion had returned. But the ships appearing on their sensors weren't crystal vessels. These were Earth Defense Force ships, an entire battle group led by Admiral Parker's flagship. "Tenacity, this is Admiral Parker." The familiar voice crackled through their damaged communication system. "Report your status." "Admiral," Walker replied, trying to keep his voice steady despite his relief. "The Tenacity has suffered severe damage, but we're intact. The Dominion fleet has been driven off. We'll need assistance to return to Earth." There was a long pause. "Driven off?" Parker's voice was incredulous. "Walker, our long-range scans showed a massive battle. Are you telling me your single ship engaged their entire fleet?" "Not just engaged, sir. We won." Another long pause. "Hold position, Tenacity. We're sending rescue teams to assess your situation." The next few hours were a blur of activity. Engineering teams from the battle group swarmed through the Tenacity, their faces showing increasing disbelief as they saw what Marcus had done with the engines. Medical teams treated the crew's injuries, while damage control specialists worked to stabilize the failing systems. Admiral Parker himself came aboard, accompanied by a team of senior officers. They found Walker in what was left of the bridge, writing his report. "I didn't believe it when I first saw the sensor readings," Parker said, looking around at the battle damage. "One obsolete corvette against an alien armada. It should have been impossible." Walker stood to attention, but Parker waved him back to his seat. "At ease, Captain. I think we're past formalities at this point. Tell me how you did it." So Walker explained everything. Marcus's modifications, the discovery of the crystal ship's weakness, their desperate gamble to use the engine resonance as a weapon. As he spoke, more officers crowded onto the bridge, listening intently. "And the aliens?" Parker asked when he finished. "You're sure they're gone?" "They retreated, sir, but I don't think they'll stay gone forever." They seemed angry, humiliated. "They'll want revenge." Parker nodded slowly. "Then we need to be ready. Your engineers' discovery about their crystal technology could be the key to defending Earth." He paused, looking around the damaged bridge again. "I owe you an apology, Walker. I called this ship a rust bucket. I tried to hide it away in an empty sector. That empty sector put us in the right place to stop them, sir." "True." Parker smiled slightly. "Sometimes the old ways surprise us. Speaking of surprises, where is your miracle worker? Where's Reed?" As if summoned by his name, Marcus appeared in the doorway. He looked even worse than before, covered in engine grease and sporting a fresh burn on one arm. but his eyes were bright with excitement. "Captain, Admiral, you need to see this." He held up a crystal shard, a piece of debris from one of the destroyed alien ships. "I've been studying their technology. It's incredible. The crystal matrix isn't just their hull. It's their whole computer system, their power source, everything. And now that we know how to disrupt it." He trailed off, noticing all the senior officers staring at him. "Oh, sorry for interrupting." Parker looked at the wild-haired engineer for a long moment. Then he laughed. "Mr. Reed, I think you and I need to have a long conversation about your engine modifications and about what we can learn from these crystal fragments." "Sir," one of the other officers interrupted, "the news is already spreading through the fleet. Everyone's talking about how the Tenacity drove off an alien armada. They're calling it the museum ship miracle." "Not museum ship," Parker corrected. "War hero." He turned back to Walker. "I'm recommending your entire crew for commendations, and the Tenacity will be fully repaired, with some improvements, I think." "Mr. Reed, how would you like a proper research budget?" Marcus's eyes went wide. "You mean official authorization to modify the engines? No more hiding my experiments. Better than that, I want you to help develop defenses against these crystal ships. If they come back, Earth needs to be ready." As the Admiral and his staff discussed plans with an increasingly excited Marcus, Walker sat back in his damaged captain's chair. His ship was barely holding together. His crew was exhausted, but they had done something incredible. They had proved that sometimes the oldest ship could be the most dangerous. Wells moved to stand beside him. "Sir, message coming in from Earth. They're calling us heroes. They want interviews, ceremonies." He grinned. "Not bad for an obsolete ship, right?" Walker smiled but shook his head. "We're not heroes. We're just a crew that refused to be underestimated. And now," he looked at the crystal shard Marcus was showing to the Admiral, "now we have work to do. Because those aliens will be back, and next time they won't make the mistake of ignoring the old ship in their path." Through the broken viewport, he could see the Earth fleet surrounding them, their ships gleaming and new. But none of them had done what the Tenacity had done. None of them had faced down an alien armada and won. The ship shuddered slightly as another system failed somewhere deep inside. Marcus immediately rushed off, shouting about emergency repairs, while the Admiral's engineers hurried after him. Walker watched them go, feeling proud of his unconventional crew and their battered ship. The Tenacity might be old, might be damaged, but it had earned something more valuable than any modern upgrade: respect. The next time aliens threatened Earth, they would learn what humans already knew. Sometimes the most dangerous weapon isn't the newest or the biggest. Sometimes it's the one that everyone underestimated. 6 months had passed since the battle with the Dominion fleet. Earth had changed in that time. The threat of alien invasion had united the planet in a way nothing else could. Defense systems were being built. New ships were under construction. And at the center of it all was the Tenacity. The old ship floated in the orbital dock, looking both familiar and strange. Its hull had been repaired, but Marcus's modifications were now official upgrades rather than hidden experiments. Crystal technology salvaged from the destroyed alien ships had been carefully studied and incorporated into the Earth fleet's designs. The Tenacity was the first to receive these upgrades. Walker stood in the observation deck of the space station, watching the work on his ship. Engineers swarmed around it like bees, installing new systems and reinforcing the hull. The Tenacity no longer looked like an old, forgotten vessel. It looked dangerous. "Quite a sight, isn't it?" Admiral Parker asked, joining Walker at the window. "The most famous ship in the fleet." Walker nodded. "Almost don't recognize her anymore. All those upgrades, most of them based on Reed's original designs," Parker reminded him. "Your engineer has become something of a celebrity among our research teams. They can barely keep up with his ideas." As if on cue, Marcus burst through the door, followed by a group of harried-looking scientists. He was talking rapidly and gesturing with a tablet in his hand. The crystal matrix can be calibrated to project a resonance field that matches their communication frequencies, he was saying. If we time it right, we can disrupt their entire command structure before they even realize what's happening. The scientists were nodding and taking notes. One of them looked up and noticed the Admiral. "Sir, we didn't know you were here." Parker waved away their concerns. "Carry on. Mr. Reed's ideas have saved us once already. I'm not about to start interrupting him now." Marcus finally noticed Walker and rushed over, his face alight with excitement. "Captain, you have to see this." He thrust the tablet forward, showing complex diagrams that Walker couldn't begin to understand. "We found a way to use the crystal technology to improve our engines by 300%. 300. The tenacity will be faster than anything in space." Walker smiled at his engineer's enthusiasm. "That's excellent news, Marcus. But what about the weapon systems? Are we ready if the Dominion returns?" Marcus's smile faded slightly. "That's complicated. We're making progress, but there's still so much we don't understand about their technology. We need more time." "Time we may not have," Parker said gravely. "Our long-range scanners have detected movement at the edge of our solar system. Crystal ships, Captain. A lot of them." The observation deck went silent. Everyone knew what that meant. The Dominion was coming back, and this time they would be prepared for the tenacity's tricks. "How long do we have?" Walker asked. 2 weeks, maybe less," Parker replied. "We're mobilizing everything we have, but most of our new ships aren't ready yet. The tenacity might be our best hope again." Marcus looked down at his tablet, then back up with determination in his eyes. 2 weeks is enough. We'll be ready." The next 14 days passed in a blur of activity. The entire Earth Defense Force worked around the clock to prepare for the coming invasion. New weapons were rushed into production. Defense satellites were positioned. Every available ship was armed and made ready for battle. But everyone knew the real fight would come down to the tenacity and its unique capabilities. The ship that had once been mocked as obsolete was now Earth's greatest weapon. Walker spent most of that time overseeing the final upgrades to his ship. The crew had changed somewhat. Many had been promoted or reassigned to share their experience with other ships. But the core remained. Wells still manned the tactical station. Brown still handled navigation. And Marcus still worked miracles in the engine room. The night before the Dominion fleet was expected to arrive, Walker found Marcus in the engine room, surrounded by crystal components and tools. "Will it work?" Walker asked simply. Marcus looked up, his face tired but confident. "It'll work. The resonance projector is more powerful than before, and I've found a way to protect our systems from burning out this time." He patted the modified engine core. "She won't let us down, Captain." "I never thought she would," Walker replied. "Get some rest, Marcus. Tomorrow we'll be here soon enough." But rest was the last thing on anyone's mind when the alarm sounded just 4 hours later. The Dominion fleet had arrived early, and it was massive, 5 times larger than the force they had defeated before. The Tenacity launched with the rest of the Earth fleet, taking position at the front of the formation. On the bridge, Walker watched the tactical display with a calm he didn't entirely feel. The crystal ships filled the screen, their perfect geometric shapes somehow more menacing than before. "They've changed their hull structure," Wells reported. "The crystal matrix is different, more densely packed, with some kind of reinforcement." "They learned from last time," Walker said. "They're expecting our resonance attack." The main screen lit up with the now familiar face of the Dominion commander, but it wasn't the same one as before. This alien looked older, its crystal-like skin harder and less flexible. "Humans," the commander spoke, voice cold. "You caused our fleet great embarrassment. The one who failed against you has been replaced. I will not make the same mistakes." "We're not interested in your internal politics," Walker replied. "Leave our system now, and there won't be any need for further conflict." The alien commander made a sound like breaking glass, A laugh, perhaps. You still believe you can dictate terms. Your trick will not work twice. We have studied the recordings of our previous encounter. Your ship's resonance weapon is known to us now. Behind Walker, Marcus whispered, "Good. That's exactly what we wanted." Walker kept his expression neutral. "Then you know what we're capable of. Leave, or face the consequences." "We will show you consequences," the commander said. The screen went dark. The Dominion fleet began to move, spreading into an attack formation. Their weapons charged, glowing with deadly energy. But they were careful to keep their distance from the tenacity, clearly wary of its resonance capabilities. "They're staying out of our effective range," Wells said. They remembered. "Perfect," Marcus replied with a grin. "Activate the new system on my mark." Walker gave the order. "All Earth ships, hold position. Let them come to us." The Dominion fleet advanced cautiously, their weapons ready but not firing yet. They were being careful this time, methodical. Their formation was designed to isolate the tenacity from the rest of the Earth fleet. "They're focusing on us," Brown observed, "just like we predicted." "Wait for it," Marcus said, his eyes fixed on the engineering display. "Wait until they're all in formation." The crystal ships moved into their final attack positions, a beautiful and deadly geometric pattern with the tenacity at its center. Their weapons powered to maximum. "Now," Marcus shouted. Walker gave the order. "Activate the resonance projector." But instead of the engine's scream they had expected, the tenacity went completely silent. Every system shut down simultaneously. On the bridge, even the emergency lights went dark. For 3 terrifying seconds, the ship drifted in space, seemingly defenseless. The Dominion fleet paused, clearly confused by this unexpected development. Then, with a sound like thunder, the crystal matrix embedded throughout the tenacity's hull activated. Energy rippled outward in a perfect wave, invisible but devastating. It wasn't a weapon in the traditional sense. It was a key, unlocking a fatal flaw in the Dominion ship's design. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. Every crystal ship in the fleet began to glow from within, their perfect structures turning against them. What Marcus had discovered wasn't how to break their ships, it was how to make them break themselves. One by one, then in groups, then in massive waves, the Dominion vessels shattered. Their crystal hulls collapsed into clouds of glittering dust. Their weapons discharged harmlessly into empty space. Their perfect formation became a graveyard of broken shards. On the Tenacity's bridge, power slowly returned. Screens flickered back to life, showing the destruction they had caused. The Earth fleet remained untouched, watching in amazement as the mighty Dominion Armada disappeared into glittering dust. "How?" Wells asked, staring at the tactical display in disbelief. Marcus smiled tiredly. "They were so busy protecting themselves against what we did last time. They didn't notice what we were really doing. Their crystal ships all used the same basic structure, like a password. We just found the master key." As reports of victory flooded in from across the fleet, Walker looked out at the field of crystal debris. The ship everyone had once called obsolete had just saved Earth for the second time. The old Tenacity, with its patched hull and modified engines, had proved once again that in the face of overwhelming odds, human ingenuity was the most powerful weapon of all. The emergency alarms echoed through the massive halls of the Galactic Council space station. Red lights flashed across the curved walls as hundreds of alien representatives hurried to the main chamber. Something had gone terribly wrong, and everyone knew it. Inside the grand circular chamber, the council members took their seats. Some floated in anti-gravity pods, others sat on traditional chairs, and a few stayed in their environmental tanks. The room buzzed with worried whispers and nervous movement. At the center of the chamber, High Counselor Rex, a tall being with metallic skin, raised all 4 of his arms for silence. "We face a crisis," he announced, his voice deep and troubled. "The humans have done something that threatens the very fabric of our technological understanding." Images appeared in the air above the council floor. They showed a strange-looking warship, unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Its hull was a mix of different materials that shouldn't work together. Energy readings from the ship made no sense. They showed power signatures that should have destroyed each other. "This is the U.S. Phantom," Rex continued, pointing at the image. "A human warship that breaks every rule of compatible technology we have followed for 10,000 years. They have combined systems from 15 different civilizations, systems that cannot work together." The chamber erupted in shocked voices. A representative from the science-focused Silver World stood up, their crystalline body reflecting the red emergency lights. "Impossible. The energy fields would tear the ship apart. The operating systems would crash. The hull materials would reject each other." But the images didn't lie. The U.S. Phantom not only existed, it flew through space with impossible grace. More images showed the ship in action, its weapons combining different alien technologies in ways that should have failed catastrophically. Instead, they worked better than anyone could have imagined. Admiral James Thompson stood on the bridge of the U.S. Phantom, watching the stars through the main viewport. He knew his ship was causing chaos in the Galactic Council, but he couldn't help feeling proud. The Phantom was humanity's greatest achievement, a warship built by breaking all the rules. "Sir," called out Lieutenant Mike from his station, "we're picking up more scan attempts. Looks like everyone wants to know how we tick." Mike grinned as he worked his controls. A mix of touch screens, holographic interfaces, and neural links that no other ship in the galaxy used together. Thompson walked to the center of the bridge, his boots making solid sounds on the deck plates made of 3 different alien metals that supposedly couldn't exist side by side. "Let them scan," he said. "They won't understand what they're seeing anyway." The bridge crew worked at their stations, each one a testament to human ingenuity. Engineers Mary Cooper and Robert Wilson had designed these stations to use multiple alien technologies at once. Where other species saw conflict and impossibility, humans saw opportunity and innovation. "Admiral," called out the weapons officer Tom, "the Council's sending another message. They're demanding we power down and submit to inspection." Thompson shook his head. "Send our usual response. We're a properly registered Earth military vessel, operating in free space under human authority." The Phantom continued its patrol route, its engines humming with power that shouldn't exist. The ship used both quantum gravity and antimatter drives, a combination that made other species scientists pull their hair out, if they had hair. The humans had found that the two systems, rather than fighting each other, created a unique resonance that made the ship faster and more maneuverable than anything else in known space. In his private office, Thompson looked at the reports from his engineering team. Cooper and Wilson had outdone themselves again. They'd found a way to layer 3 different types of shield technology, energy fields that should have exploded if they touched. Instead, the fields worked together, making the Phantom nearly invulnerable to known weapons. A knock at his door interrupted his reading. "Come in," he called out. Mary Cooper entered, her eyes bright with excitement. "Admiral, we've done it again. Remember how everyone said we couldn't mix Trader Union computer systems with Defense League targeting arrays? Well, we proved them wrong. The new targeting system is 3 times more accurate than anything in the galaxy." Thompson smiled. This was why the Phantom existed, to prove that humanity's greatest strength was its ability to ignore impossible and find new ways forward. "Good work, Mary. How's Robert handling the power distribution?" "He's like a kid with new toys," Mary laughed. "He found out that if we run the power through all 3 reactor types in sequence, we get 40% more energy than we should. The aliens say it breaks the laws of physics. Robert says it just breaks their understanding of physics." Alarms suddenly blared through the ship. Thompson and Mary rushed to the bridge, where the crew was already at battle stations. "Pirate ships, sir," Mike reported. 3 heavy cruisers, coming in fast. They're of the Lost Fleet, the ones that have been hitting colony worlds. Thompson took his command chair. Finally, a chance to show what this ship can really do. Battle stations, Everyone. Let's show them why they should fear the impossible. The pirate ships approached, their black hulls bristling with weapons. They were feared throughout the sector, using top-line military gear stolen from multiple species. Their leader's voice came over the comm system, full of confidence and mockery. Unknown vessel, power down and prepare to be boarded. We've taken dozens of ships in this sector. Your strange little craft won't last 5 minutes against us. Thompson smiled. All stations, Combat Protocol Omega. Show them what happens when you combine technologies that don't work together. The Phantom's hybrid weapons powered up. Shield systems that shouldn't exist flared to life. Targeting systems that broke all the rules locked onto the enemy ships. The pirates were about to learn why this ship was giving the Galactic Council nightmares. Sir, Tom reported from weapons, all systems ready. Permission to show these pirates why humans don't follow the rules. Thompson nodded, his voice firm and clear. Permission granted. Let's make some history. The Phantom moved forward, its impossible drives glowing with power that defied understanding. The pirates were about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't technology. It was the ability to imagine new ways to use it. The battle that followed would change the galaxy's understanding of what was possible, and it would only be the beginning of the U.S. Phantom's legend. The 3 pirate ships spread out in an attack formation, their black hulls reflecting the distant starlight. They were confident in their superior numbers and firepower. The U.S. Phantom hung in space before them, its strange hull gleaming with impossible energy readings. Last warning. The pirate leader's voice crackled over the comm. Power down now, or we'll blow your weird little ship into space dust. Admiral Thompson looked at his crew and nodded. Show them what the Phantom can do. All weapons free. The pirates fired first, their energy beams and plasma torpedoes streaming toward the Phantom. They expected their target to try dodging or to break apart under their combined fire. Instead, the impossible ship just sat there, letting the attacks hit. 3 different shield systems flared to life at once. The pirates' weapons splashed harmlessly against barriers that rippled with gold, blue, and green energy. On their sensors, the pirates saw something that made no sense. The Phantom's shields were actually growing stronger with each hit. Impossible. The pirate leader shouted. Those shield types can't work together. The energy feedback should be destroying your ship. Thompson smiled. Mary, would you explain to our pirate friends why they're wrong? Engineer Mary Cooper's voice came over the open channel, clear and proud. Actually, when you adjust the shield frequencies just right, they create a resonance pattern. Each hit makes the pattern stronger. We just had to think differently about how energy fields interact. The pirates responded by launching another barrage. This time they used weapons of different types, hoping to find a weakness. The Phantom's shields just glowed brighter. Our turn, Thompson said. Tom, show them our special weapon combinations. The Phantom's weapons officer grinned as he pressed his controls. The ship's main guns powered up, combining energy types that no other ship in the galaxy dared to mix. Beams of twisted light shot out, spiraling around each other in impossible patterns. The lead pirate ship tried to dodge, but its shields collapsed instantly under the hybrid attack. The impossible energy combination cut through its hull like it was made of paper. The ship's engines died, leaving it drifting in space. What was that? The second pirate captain demanded, fear creeping into his voice. That, Robert Wilson called from his engineering station, was 3 different weapon types working together. Everyone said it would blow up in our faces. We proved them wrong. The remaining pirate ships tried to split up, but the Phantom's strange engines flared with multiple colors as it moved faster than should have been possible. It caught up to the second ship in moments. How are they moving so fast? One pirate screamed over the open channel. Their engine signatures make no sense. Making sense is overrated, Thompson replied. Tom, disable their engines. Let's show them another impossible trick. The Phantom fired again, this time using a different weapon combination. Rings of energy that should have destroyed each other spun out from the ship's lateral guns. They wrapped around the pirate vessel's engine section, shorting out its power in seconds. The last pirate ship turned to run, its captain finally realizing they were outmatched. But the Phantom's hybrid sensors had already locked on. No amount of electronic countermeasures or stealth fields could break that lock. "Please," the final pirate captain begged, "we surrender. Just tell us how you built that monster ship." Thompson stood up from his command chair. "The secret isn't in the building. It's in refusing to accept limitations. Humans don't believe in impossible. We just see problems we haven't solved yet." The Phantom's final shots disabled the last pirate ship's weapons and engines. In less than 10 minutes, the most feared pirate group in the sector had been reduced to floating wrecks. "Send the coordinates to the sector patrol," Thompson ordered. "They can pick up our pirate friends and their ships." As the crew worked, Mary approached Thompson with a tablet showing new readings. "Sir, you'll want to see this. Remember how everyone said using multiple targeting systems would create data conflicts? Well, the battle proved them wrong again. The systems are actually learning from each other. Our targeting accuracy just improved by 20%. Robert joined them, his face excited. "And the shield resonance thing. It's better than we thought. Each hit really does make the pattern stronger. We could probably take on a whole battle fleet now." Mike called out from his station. "Speaking of battle fleets, sir, I'm picking up a lot of ships heading our way. Looks like the Galactic Council finally decided to see the Phantom up close." Thompson watched the sensor displays as dozens of ships appeared from faster-than-light travel. They represented the most powerful species in the galaxy, each bringing their best warships to investigate the impossible human vessel. "Sir," Tom reported, "they're demanding we shut down our dangerous and unstable systems. They're saying we're in violation of about 50 different technology treaties." "Send them the data from our pirate battle," Thompson ordered. "Let them see that our dangerous and unstable systems just took down 3 ships that their conventional fleets couldn't catch." Mary looked at the approaching fleet with bright eyes. "You know what's funny? Each of those ships out there represents a species that told us our ideas were impossible. Now they're all coming to see how we did it. That's humanity's real strength," Thompson said. "We don't just think outside the box. We take different boxes, cut them up, and build something new. The Phantom isn't just a warship. It's proof that progress comes from challenging old limits." The Galactic Council ships formed a ring around the Phantom, their sensors trying to understand how the impossible ship functioned. But they couldn't make sense of it because they were still thinking the old way, believing that certain technologies couldn't mix, that some combinations were impossible. Thompson looked at his crew, the humans who had helped prove the impossible was possible. "Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them Phase 1 is complete. The Phantom has proven itself in combat." "And Phase 2, sir?" Mary asked, already guessing the answer. Thompson smiled. "Phase 2 is showing the galaxy that this is just the beginning. The Phantom isn't a violation of natural laws. It's proof that we didn't fully understand those laws, and humanity is just getting started." The impossible ship hung in space, surrounded by the galaxy's most powerful vessels. But everyone watching knew that something had changed. The rules about what was possible had been rewritten, and humanity was holding the pen. The U.S. Phantom was just the first step into a new age of discovery and innovation, where impossible was just another word for not tried yet. The Galactic Council's emergency meeting had turned into chaos. Hundreds of representatives argued as holographic displays showed the U.S. Phantom's battle with the pirates. They watched again and again as the impossible ship's weapons cut through shields that should have held, as its own defenses grew stronger with each hit. "This must stop," shouted the representative from the Tech Directorate, slamming his metal fist on the podium. "The humans are playing with forces they don't understand. Their ship breaks 63 known laws of physics." High Counselor Rex raised his 4 arms for silence. "We have a more immediate problem. The Phantom's success against the pirates has inspired other human shipyards. Our spies report they're already building more ships using these forbidden technology combinations. The chamber erupted in fresh panic. One ship breaking the rules was bad enough, but an entire fleet of impossible ships, it was unthinkable. Aboard the Phantom, Admiral Thompson reviewed the latest messages from Earth Command. The ship's success had changed everything. Humanity was pushing forward with new designs, taking the lessons learned from the Phantom and going even further. "Sir," Mike called from his station, "we're picking up some strange readings. The Council fleet is trying something new." Thompson looked at the main screen. The alien ships had arranged themselves in a complex pattern around the Phantom. Energy readings began to spike as they activated some kind of synchronized weapon system. "They're trying to create a resonance field," Mary explained, rushing to her engineering station. "They think if they match the frequency of our shield harmonics, they can disrupt our systems." The alien ships fired as one, their beams combining into a web of energy that surrounded the Phantom. For a moment, the impossible ship's shields flickered. "They actually did their homework," Robert said, his fingers flying over his controls. "But they forgot something important. Our systems don't just break the rules, they rewrite them." "Mary, remember that shield modification we theorized?" Mary's eyes lit up. "The recursive adaptation protocol. But we haven't tested it yet." "No time like the present," Thompson said. "Do it." Mary and Robert worked together, their hands dancing across their stations. The Phantom's shields began to pulse with new patterns of energy. Instead of fighting against the Council fleet's resonance field, the shields began to absorb it, learning and adapting. "Impossible," came a transmission from the Council fleet. "Their shields are using our own resonance field to grow stronger." Thompson opened a channel to all ships. "That's the problem with thinking you know all the rules. You forget that rules can change. Stand down now, or we'll be forced to demonstrate more of our impossible tricks." The Council fleet hesitated. Their best scientists had created this trap, using their most advanced understanding of energy field interactions. But the humans had turned it against them in minutes. "Admiral," Tom reported from weapons, "I'm reading power buildups in their secondary weapons." "They're not giving up." Thompson nodded. "Show them what happens when you combine that new shield configuration with our hybrid weapon systems." The Phantom's weapons powered up, but this time they were different. The energy from the shields fed into the weapon systems, creating new combinations that even the ship's creators hadn't predicted. A burst of impossible energy shot out from the Phantom, splitting into multiple beams that danced between the Council ships. One by one, their shields failed, their weapons powered down, and their engines went dark. What did you do to our ships?" demanded a Council commander. "We used your own energy against you," Mary explained. "Your resonance field gave us the perfect frequency to disable your systems without causing any real damage. You'll have power back in about an hour." Thompson stood at the center of his bridge, looking at the disabled Council fleet. "Your scientists think they know everything about how technology works. But humanity's greatest strength is asking what if. What if two things that shouldn't work together actually could? What if the rules you think are unbreakable are just rules you haven't questioned yet?" The Council ships floated powerless in space as the Phantom's crew continued to analyze the data from their new shield configuration. Every attempt to stop them had only made them stronger, teaching them new ways to combine technologies that the galaxy thought impossible. "Sir," Mike said, receiving a priority message from Earth Command. "They want us to proceed to the outer colonies. There are reports of heavy military activity out there. The Council's not the only one interested in our ship anymore." Thompson looked at his crew. They were tired from the constant confrontations, but their eyes still shone with the excitement of discovery. Every battle, every challenge, had taught them something new about their impossible ship. "They're afraid of us," Mary said, looking at the disabled Council fleet. "Not just because we're powerful, but because we're proving everything they believe about technology is wrong." "Fear leads to desperate actions," Thompson replied. "And I have a feeling we haven't seen desperate yet." Plot a course for the outer colonies. If someone's building up forces out there, we need to know why." As the Phantom prepared to jump to faster-than-light speed, its systems humming with impossible energy combinations, Thompson thought about what they'd accomplished. They hadn't just built a powerful warship. They'd challenged the galaxy's fundamental beliefs about what was possible. The ship's hybrid drives powered up, creating a faster-than-light field that broke a dozen more laws of physics. As they prepared to jump, Thompson received one last message from the Council Fleet's commander. "You don't understand what you're doing," the alien warned. "There are reasons we don't combine technologies like this. There are things out there. Things that notice when you break too many rules." Thompson sent back a simple reply. "Then it's time they noticed humanity. Because we're just getting started." The Phantom vanished into faster-than-light speed, leaving behind a galaxy in turmoil. The impossible ship had changed everything, challenging thousands of years of technological doctrine. But as they headed toward the outer colonies, Thompson and his crew couldn't know that their greatest test was still to come. Because the Council commander was right about one thing. Something had noticed them. In the darkness between the stars, ancient powers were stirring, awakened by the impossible energy signatures of humanity's greatest achievement. The real question wasn't whether the Phantom could break the rules. The question was, what happened when you broke so many rules that reality itself took notice? The U.S. Phantom dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of human space. The outer colonies lay before them, scattered across dozens of star systems. But something was wrong. The usual busy traffic of merchant ships and patrol vessels was missing. Multiple distress beacons detected, Mike reported from his station. "They're coming from 3 different colonies, but the signals are weird, sir, like something's interfering with them." Thompson studied the sensor readings. "Any response to our hails?" "Nothing, sir. Just static and wait." Mike adjusted his controls. "I'm picking up something else. Some kind of energy pattern I've never seen before. It's huge, covering at least 2 star systems." Mary rushed to her engineering station, her eyes widening as she looked at the readings. "Admiral, remember what that Council commander said? About things that notice when you break too many rules. I think we just found them." The main screen lit up with new sensor data. Massive objects were moving through the outer colony systems. They were bigger than anything the galaxy had ever seen, their hulls made of material that seemed to bend reality around them. "Sir," Tom called out, "I'm getting weapons readings from those ships. They're using energy patterns similar to ours, but more advanced, like they've been breaking the rules of physics for millions of years." Robert spoke up from engineering. "They're not just breaking the rules, they're ignoring them completely. These beings, they're operating on a whole different level of reality." A transmission cut through their communications, filling the bridge with a strange, echoing voice. "We are the Watchers. We have seen your violation of the natural laws. Your species has drawn our attention." Thompson stood tall. "This is Admiral James Thompson of the U.S. Phantom. Why have you attacked our colonies?" "Attack?" The voice seemed amused. "We are containing the spread of your chaos. For billions of years, we have maintained order in this galaxy. Species must follow the proper path of technological development. Your kind, you break too many rules. You combine things that should not be combined. You must be stopped before you destabilize reality itself." Mary's console suddenly lit up with alerts. "Sir, I'm detecting massive energy buildups from their ships. They're using some kind of reality-warping weapons." The Phantom shook as waves of strange energy washed over it. Systems started to flicker as the laws of physics themselves seemed to shift and change around them. "Our shields are failing," Robert reported. "These weapons, they're not just attacking our ship. They're attacking the rules that make our technology work." Thompson gripped his command chair as the ship shuddered again. "Mary, Robert, you've made the impossible work before. We need another miracle." The 2 engineers worked frantically at their stations. The Phantom's hybrid systems were failing one by one as the Watchers' weapons rewrote the laws of reality around them. "Wait," Mary said suddenly. "That's it. They're not just breaking the rules. They're changing them. But our systems, they're designed to work with broken rules. Robert, if we reverse the shield harmonics and feed them into the weapon systems." Robert caught on immediately. "We could use their reality manipulation against them. The more they change the rules, the stronger we get." Thompson nodded. "Do it, Tom. Prepare all weapons. If we're going to fight beings that control reality, we might as well go all out." The Phantom's systems hummed with new energy as Mary and Robert implemented their desperate plan. The ship's impossible technology began to adapt to the changing laws of physics, learning and growing stronger with each shift. "Energy readings are off the scale," Mike reported. "Whatever you two did, it's working. Our systems aren't just adapting to their reality changes, they're learning from them." The Watcher's voice came again, this time with a note of surprise. "Impossible. Your technology, it grows stronger. You learn from our attempts to contain you." Thompson smiled. "That's humanity's greatest strength. We don't just break rules. We learn from them. We adapt. We grow. And right now, you're teaching us exactly how to fight you." The Phantom's weapons fired, combining their hybrid technology with the reality-warping energies they'd absorbed from the Watchers. Beams of impossibly twisted light cut through space, actually bending the laws of physics around them. One of the massive Watcher ships reeled back, its reality-warping field disrupted by the Phantom's attack. "This cannot be. You are children playing with forces you don't understand." "Understanding is overrated," Robert called out. "We're humans. We see something impossible. We find a way to make it work. Right now, you're showing us whole new levels of impossible to work with." The Watchers launched another attack, trying to completely rewrite the laws of physics in the local space. But the Phantom's systems had already learned from the previous attacks. The ship's hybrid technology didn't just resist the changes. It embraced them, using them to create new and even more impossible combinations. "Sir," Mary reported excitedly, "their reality manipulation is actually improving our systems. Every change they make teaches us something new about how to break the rules." Thompson opened a channel to the Watcher ships. "You've spent billions of years enforcing the rules. But you forgot the most important rule of all life adapts. Evolution isn't just biological. It's technological too. And humanity. We're the best adapters in the galaxy." The Phantom's impossible weapons fired again, this time creating effects that even its creators hadn't imagined possible. Reality itself seemed to twist and bend around the ship as it fought beings that had once thought themselves the masters of physical law. But even as they fought back against the Watchers, Thompson knew this was just the beginning. These ancient beings wouldn't give up easily. And somewhere out in the darkness between stars, more of them were coming. The real war for humanity's right to break the rules was about to begin. But as Thompson looked at his crew, at the humans who had already made the impossible possible, he knew they were ready for whatever came next. Because the Watchers had made one crucial mistake. They thought enforcing the rules would stop humanity. Instead, they were teaching humanity exactly how to break those rules even better. And the U.S. Phantom was about to show them just how dangerous that mistake could be. News of the battle spread quickly through human space. The U.S. Phantom, already famous for breaking the rules of physics, was now fighting beings that controlled those rules. As reports reached Earth, humanity responded in the only way it knew how, by innovating even faster. Admiral Thompson stood on the Phantom's bridge, watching as the sensor display filled with new contacts. But these weren't enemy ships. They were human vessels, coming from every colony and outpost. Some were military, others were converted civilian ships. All of them had been modified based on the Phantom's designs, each one breaking the rules in new and creative ways. "Sir," Mike reported with a grin, "we're getting hails from over 50 ships. They've all implemented some version of our hybrid technology. The research teams back home have been working around the clock." Thompson nodded. Humanity had always been at its best when facing impossible odds. Open a channel to all ships. This is Admiral Thompson. What we face today isn't just an enemy fleet. The Watchers believe they control the laws of reality, and that we have no right to challenge those laws. They've spent billions of years enforcing their vision of order. Today, we show them something they've never seen before. A species that thrives on breaking the rules. The human fleet formed up around the Phantom. Each ship glowed with impossible energy combinations, their hulls shimmering with materials that shouldn't work together. Scientists and engineers across human space had taken the Phantom's designs and pushed them even further, finding new ways to break the rules. Mary approached Thompson, her eyes bright with excitement. "Sir, the fleet is sharing their innovations with us. Each ship found a different way to combine technologies. If we network our systems together, we become more than the sum of our parts," Thompson finished. "Do it." As the human ships linked their systems, something unprecedented began to happen. Their impossible technologies didn't just work together. They evolved, learning and adapting at an incredible rate. The combined fleet became a single organism of innovation and discovery. The Watchers sensed the change. Their massive ships, each one larger than a moon, moved to surround the human fleet. Reality warped around them as they prepared to unleash their full power. "We have existed since the beginning of this galaxy," their voice boomed across all frequencies. "We established the laws of physics. We determined which technologies could exist. And now you, children of a young star, think you can challenge us." Thompson stood firm. "We don't just challenge you. We thank you. Every attempt you make to stop us teaches us something new. Every rule you try to enforce shows us 10 new ways to break it. That's what you never understood about humanity. We learned from our enemies." The Watchers attacked, unleashing weapons that bent space and time. Stars dimmed as reality itself was twisted by their power. The human fleet should have been annihilated instantly. Instead, something miraculous happened. The networked ships, learning and adapting together, began to predict the Watchers' reality manipulations. Their shields shifted and changed, not just defending against the attacks but absorbing their principles. "It's working," Robert shouted from his engineering station. "The entire fleet is learning together. The more they attack, the more we understand how they control reality." The Phantom led the counterattack, its weapons now enhanced by knowledge gained from dozens of other innovative ships. Beams of energy that defied classification shot out, striking the nearest Watcher vessel. Where the energy touched, the Watchers' control over reality faltered. "They're not gods," Mary realized, studying the readings. "They're just an ancient species that learned to manipulate reality before anyone else. But they stopped innovating billions of years ago. They just enforced the same rules over and over. And now we're writing new rules," Thompson said. "All ships, concentrate fire on the lead vessel. Use everything we've learned." The human fleet fired as one, their impossible weapons combining into something even the Phantom's creators couldn't have imagined. Reality itself seemed to crack where their combined energy struck, revealing something beyond physical law, pure possibility. The lead Watcher ship shuddered as its reality-shaping field collapsed. For the first time in billions of years, the ancient beings knew fear. They had enforced the laws of physics for so long, they'd forgotten that laws could change. "You cannot do this," the Watchers transmitted, their voice no longer confident. "The consequences, you will destroy everything." "No," Thompson replied calmly. "We're not destroying anything. We're evolving, just like life has always done. The rules aren't set in stone. They're meant to be challenged and changed." The human fleet pressed its advantage, each ship using what they'd learned to strike at different Watcher vessels. The ancient beings found themselves outmaneuvered by a species a fraction of their age, their billion-year-old tactics useless against humanity's constant adaptation. One by one, the Watcher ships lost their hold on reality. Some fled, vanishing into the darkness between galaxies. Others simply shut down, their ancient systems unable to comprehend the rapidly evolving human technology. As the battle turned decisively in humanity's favor, Thompson opened a channel to the remaining Watcher ships. You can keep fighting, but you'll keep losing. Or you can accept that the galaxy has room for different approaches. Your way isn't the only way. Silence hung over the battlefield for a long moment. Then, the Watcher's voice returned, somehow sounding older and wiser. In all our existence, we have never encountered a species like yours. You do not just break rules. You transform them into something new. That's what life does, Thompson responded. It adapts. It evolves. It finds new ways forward. Your mistake was thinking that technology shouldn't do the same. Perhaps, the ancient voice conceded. After billions of years, we have forgotten what it means to discover, to see new possibilities. The remaining Watcher ships powered down their weapons. The reality distortions around them faded as they withdrew their control over physical law. We will watch, as we have always done. But we will not interfere again. Your species has earned the right to find its own path. As the Watcher fleet retreated, the human ships began helping the damaged colonies. Networks of impossible technology restored what had been broken, healing wounds in reality itself. What had started as a warship had become something much more, a new understanding of what was possible. Thompson stood on the Phantom's observation deck, watching as the fleet worked together. Mary and Robert joined him, their faces tired but triumphant. "So what happens now?" Mary asked. "We've broken pretty much every rule in the book." Thompson smiled. "Now we write a new book. The Watchers spent billions of years telling the galaxy what couldn't be done. Now it's our turn to show what can be done." "The Phantom was just the beginning," Robert added. "Look at what the fleet accomplished when we shared our innovations. Imagine what happens when we share them with everyone." Thompson nodded. The impossible ship had changed everything. What had started as a military project had become the spark for a new age of discovery and cooperation. Humanity had faced beings that controlled reality itself, and had shown them that reality was meant to be questioned, challenged, and improved. As the Phantom rejoined the fleet, its impossible systems humming with new possibilities, Thompson knew this was just the first chapter in humanity's greatest adventure. They had proven that impossible was just another word for not tried yet, and humanity was just getting started.